In this video, I'm going to continue working on the Pen Tool plus Principles assignment. This is the third artboard. It is lines and creating aligned shapes. So I'm going to go through both of these, and let's start with this first box. This is an exercise that has you using the line segment tool to create straight lines. The line segment tool is over here in the tools panel. It's easy to find. You can create horizontal, vertical, diagonal, any straight line. And if you hold down the shift key while you are clicking and dragging to create your line, Illustrator will control the line so that it is either perfectly horizontal or perfectly vertical. And that's what I'm going to do here for this first one here. So first I'm going to grab the tool, and then I'm going to take a look here at the directions. I'm going to be creating a 3-point stroke, and the color of the stroke is going to be black, and there is going to be a butt cap at the end. So let me explain that. Here first, let me create this line. So I'm going to move out away from the number 1 here, and I'm going to click and then drag. And as I said before, if you hold the shift key while you're dragging, it controls the line so that it's perfectly horizontal. Right, so I'm going to create that line. Now I've created that line. It doesn't have any color because I don't have any color here in the stroke or fill. Well, there's not going to be a fill color no matter what because it's not a shape, right? So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to give it a stroke color of black, right? Because that's what the instructions say, 100% black, right? Now, how can I be sure that my stroke color is 100% black? I can come over here to the appearance, and I can click on opacity, and I can verify that I'm 100% black. Okay. Now, in order to adjust the stroke width and create a butt cap, I need to use the stroke panel. So I'm going to expand that stroke panel and take a look at that. If your panel isn't showing all of these properties, up here in the upper right hand corner, there's 3 lines. You can click on that, and you can, if you're looking at it and you see it like this, you can just say show options and it'll unfold the rest of the options. So here is the weight, and that is where you change the weight of the line. I'm going to change it to 3 points, so I can either just do the drop down menu and find 3 points, or I can just click on the little arrows here. The next tool is the cap, right? And that's here indicated in the instructions, butt cap, right? So you can just hover over these to see which one is which, right? It's pretty, the little icon shows you how that stroke ends, so it's pretty helpful to have that there. And for this one at least, we're done, right? So I'm gonna go back over here to the tool, and I'm going to do number 2. Now, I have, just so in case you're wondering about all these little red or magenta captions that pop up, right? If you don't have that happening, you should come up here to View and make sure that Smart Guides is checked. Smart Guides is an Illustrator feature that makes sure that things are nicely aligned, right? So here it's showing me a couple of things. I'm aligned with the line above me, and I am intersecting, in other words, I am horizontally aligned with the number 2, right? So I'm going to create my second line here, and when I get over here to the right, it's letting me know that I intersect, so that I'm creating these equally of equal width. The instructions here are 6-point stroke, so I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. Black opacity 80% and round cap. Okay, so I know round cap is in this particular panel, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. even though it's the last instructions. And then I'm going to come back over here, black opacity 80%, right? So I need to come back over here to the appearance menu, right? And you don't have to close, this little arrow is what closes the menus, but if you're just toggling between panels, you can just click on the panel and the other one goes away. And I'm going to change this to 80%. So I'm going to type in here 80 and I'm going to hit return. Okay. And so that is that one. And then the third one, I'm going to go ahead over here and do my third drawing. I'm going to hold down my shift key. I'm going to make sure that it is equidistant to the one above. I'm going to open up that panel again. And this one is, let's see, a round cap. Got that. This one is telling me here, I'm having a little hard time seeing that. This is telling me dash gap, right? So there's a dash line here, and I'm going to have to change that to 12 points, 20 points, 3 points, and 20 points. Okay, and the last part of the instructions here are the magenta opacity 100%. Magenta is a color that I can find here in the swatches menu, and I can just choose it right there. And then again, if I want to change that, I could change the opacity here, but at this point it's 100%. Okay, the second area I want to cover is the pen tool and the curvature tool, right? So there is a curvature tool which looks a lot like the pen tool, and it's right next to it. And so first of all, I'm going to, it says number 1, use the pen tool. So for number 1, I'm going to use the pen tool, and I'm going to create a wavy line with 5 anchor points. So as you remember from the first 2 artboards, right, you're going to have to use the click and drag feature, right? And you should have 5 anchor points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then the instructions are pretty similar. The one that I'd like to point out is, I'm going to get rid of the dash line here, 20 stroke. The one that I want to point out that's a little bit different is this variable width profile. You can find that up here under uniform width profile number 1, right? And that just changes the width of the stroke so that it's variable. It's no longer uniform. The second one I'd like you to explore using the curvature tool. See what that's like. It's a little bit different, right? Kind of create, it takes a little bit of time to get used to it, right? But it has similar results, right? And I'm going to go ahead and follow those directions. 20 and round cap. This time I'm using profile number 4. Right. Okay. The last of these is creating and aligning shapes. And you're going to create 5 polygons. All of them are going to be black, right? And no stroke color. So you can go ahead and set yourself up here right off the bat. And I'm going to just indicate that I want a fill color. And I'm going to use the fill color from the swatch menu up here. And now I'm going to create my polygons, and feel free to use the shift key as you create these, right? And a polygon is a multi-sided, so it could be all kinds of different shapes. Make sure they're closed shapes. So in other words, as your pen comes back to where your starting point is, you get that little circle, right? And I'm going to create all these different polygons, right? And then, let's see, I got to create 5 of them. So, and you don't have to necessarily use the pen tool for them. You can also explore the shape, the rectangle, or some of these other tools like the polygon tool, right? Which makes things a little bit faster. And just so that you know, if you press the plus or minus key, you get more angles on your polygon, right? Okay, so I've got all of my 5 shapes. Now I need to do some alignment here, and to do that I'm going to use the alignment tool here. It says here, align objects. Vertical center of each polygon is aligned. Right, so that is how you do that. You just can hover over these to find where your vertical align center is. And then let's see if this is going to work or not, because sometimes I get a little bit confused on how this tool works. Does that work? Yes. So the horizontal distribute center, that is taking the center of each of these shapes, the horizontal center, and it is distributing them equally. Okay? And that is the end of this tutorial.